Hola, bon dia, Munson here. I sincerely hope you can hear me. I have had all manner of technical difficulties this morning, and I'm so glad it is Feelgood Friday because that's what I need right now. Oh, my goodness. The ironies of life. You're setting yourself up to do a Feelgood Friday. I'm barefoot already. I'm surrounded by crystals, probably, because I share this room with Mrs. M. I've got my water to stay hydrated. Look what it says on there. Too blessed to be stressed, but I really don't feel like it. And that's why we have Jenni B with us every couple of weeks to help us breathe out and take a couple of deep breaths, which is, I'm sure, what she's going to recommend to me in just a moment. But I hope when I press this button, something magical is going to happen. Let's see. Get your lighter on.
It's Feelgood Friday. It's Feelgood Friday.
Whoa.
It's Feelgood Friday. Feeling good on a Friday with Cal Munson and Jenni B.
I feel better already. Oh, that's better. Good morning, Jenni.
Good morning, Carl. I was thinking, will that jingle not ultimately make you feel better? You poor thing.
Well, actually, you feel much better for seeing you and having triumphed. Man has triumphed over technology. It's not always the way, is it? But we've done it this morning. You're back with us, Jenni B. If you don't know her, Jenni Barraco, founder of Holly Healthy. They're in central Portugal this morning, Alvazra. And incoming this morning, I've got some work to do while you catch up with us, or we catch up with you. Tell us, what have you been up to in the last, since we last saw you, as if we don't know some of the details.
You bugger. Well, I'm so glad you managed, Scarlett. I was wondering if it's the missing wine from the Missing Wine Club that kind of gives you the technical difficulty.
Well, that would be sad, wouldn't it, if I can't do this except when I'm drinking. But no, not on this occasion. Did have a little bit of orange wine last night, nonetheless. But no, it was just... I'll tell you what it was this morning. Sorry, we'll come back to you in just a moment. But just to explain and just to resolve this last little bit and leave it in the past where it belongs, is that it's all to do with the road to hell is paved with good intentions. No good deed goes unpunished. Because I asked Louisa if she would put on an advert onto my reel of videos here for the Higher Self Expo that you're both at and I want to play during the show. So she very kindly did that for me. But the multiple logins, the way the computers work, when I went to do what I wanted to do, I couldn't. And we all know how frustrating. This is one of the principal upsets in life, isn't it? A thwarted intention, which is people can relate to, I think. And that's where I was only a few moments ago. But it's behind me. It's gone. I'll let it go. I'll just breathe it out. And let's catch up with you. So what you been up to?
I gave myself a holiday. I gave myself a little time out because I felt really drained, and it was the time of my dad's first heavenly anniversary, and I did feel that it did kick in a bit more than I thought it would.
Oh.
And I thought it might be smarter for me to take the time now, which I never took last year when it actually happened.
Yes.
And then my first workshop was intended to happen on the 13th, a grounding workshop.
Yes.
But then it was only, it was our beloved Gary, who was my number one participant. And he said he wanted to give it to as a birthday present to somebody else.
Right.
Well, anyway, long story short, it came just the day before. I got a period. I felt like shit. It was raining like crazy. It was just pissing. So I was like, okay, that's all the signs. I'm going to cancel this workshop. So I sent Gary a message. I went like, Gary, I don't know this guy you've been inviting, but how much does he know about it? Like, can I send him a text? Or are you going to send him a text? Or what's the story? And it was already quite late in the evening. So next morning, I got a message of Gary saying, I'm so sorry, I only just read it now. You know what? I picked up the guy already. He slept the overnight. I would really like to meet you. And I was like, oh, honestly, new people, man. I just got my
Really?
period and a whole lot. I really feel
Gary.
like shit. But I know Gary, and he knows me, so I was like, yeah, okay. And I felt shit that I canceled the workshop so short notice. So I thought, yeah, okay, come on. The 2 hours of the workshop would have been I join you guys, and we go to this magical place Gary wanted to show us.
Ah.
Yeah, and that's where the magic happened, and now I'm fucking crazily in love. And
Well, I never.
my daddy sent me obviously a little present, and I had some of his nights with him that was beautiful. So I've just had really magical holiday, really am.
Amazing, amazing. So amazing. This roller coaster ride for you. Was this your father who joined us briefly on the show a long time
No,
ago?
that yeah, that's a bit. It's a bit of a complicated story. So no, that's my biological dad, the one who was on the show. But
Yeah.
that's the one I never really had contact with. That's why so much inner child work.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And the one who passed away last year was the one who basically raised me. So that was
Okay.
my father figure in my life.
Yeah.
And it was very emotional last year as well because he had kind of picks up on the topic how to stay sane in uncertain times.
Yeah.
So he was diagnosed with CLL, that's chronic lymphatic leukemia,
Oh dear.
already about 3 years ago or something. But
Yeah.
they actually only did it because his parameters were so crazy and they just didn't know what to categorize him in. And then
Yeah.
they went for that. And as you can imagine, me as a pharmacist, I've already had a couple of, let's say, discussions with my dad. What would be the, for me, right attempt to tackle this, or then for him?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And he went for his first chemotherapy, and it was okay. It kind of helped him. He went into remission, and I think for 1.5 years or something, he was all right. And then I went to Portugal. I lived all over the world, so I wasn't really much in Germany, so I didn't really notice his progress. Plus we fell out. The last time we saw before last year was an argument we had. It was funny in hindsight. It was funny because we were meant to do a barbecue, typically with my dad on the balcony, nice barbecue, and I brought my vegan sausages, and he was like, "What's that?
What were you thinking?
Uh,
Yes. What were you
I'm not.
thinking, Jenny
I'm
B?
not gonna eat that shit." And I was like,
Is this?
"Oh, nice."
Did you? Is this in Germany?
Yeah, that's in Germany. And I was
You
like,
take vegan sausages to a barbecue in Germany? I mean, what were you
"Mhm."
expecting, honestly?
I mean, I was just thinking I'd be nice. I would have just brought veggies, but I thought, I'll give him a chance to try it as well, and blah blah blah. And so he was
Sound
like,
very
"So
well.
yeah, you can do them." And I was like, "I'm not. You can just do them. It's just like any other sausage. You put them on when you turn it, and when it's brown, it's ready." And he was like, "I'm not touching that shit." And I'm like, "Less attitude, please. I'll eat you
Really?
your pork steaks. I don't missionize you and tell you it's not good for you." So, anyways,
Yes.
long story short, I remember I left this day and I said to him, "Look, Dad, this was really my last attempt. I tried. I know you're sick. I thought we might never see each other again, and that's what I'm here for. Obviously, it won't work, so don't expect me to come again."
Oh, bless you both.
Yeah, but then he came last year, and I didn't know he was super sick. He told me that he was waiting for his doctor to give him like a week or something where he does not have to go for a treatment, so he can actually come down.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that he was in such a bad shape. So he took his camper, 78 years old. He took his camper. He drove down in 2.5 days, all the way from Germany. He brought
No
me
way.
parts. Yeah, he brought me parts for my camper because that wasn't running, and he knew how much that this is my life, my camper, and just traveling around. So he brought me the parts from Germany. And when I saw him, I'll never forget that moment when I saw him when I came around the corner, and I just saw his body, the state his body was in.
Oh,
Oh my God, I was shocked. I was really shocked.
yes.
It was just the backfiring of 3.5 years of hardcore chemical input in your body. That
Yes. Yes.
was what I saw. And then he stayed for a week, and day by day he got worse and worse and worse. I thought he had water in his lungs. I got a stethoscope, the whole lot, because I knew, me personally, I just found myself in such a fine line of I want to give him the best possible help, But at the same time, I don't want to get him in hospital because it was already the whole Kentucky Malava going on. So I knew if I put him in hospital, he's getting a lot of bullshit for being tested and the whole lot and COVID, and I won't be able to visit him, different country, the whole lot.
Yes,
And
awful.
he's a strong fella. He has always been like super strong, my superhero. Huh?
Yeah.
So it was tough to see him. He parked. I think his camper was about 15 meters away from mine, and it was already a struggle for him to walk from one to the other place. So we didn't do much sightseeing. He didn't want to do anything really except barely surviving. And I remember, Carl, I have this place. I call it like a healing circle. It's a circle out of trees, and I love to go there. It's just my place, and I can't wait to show Gary this as well. It's our next date. So before he drove off, I thought I need to check whether he's okay in the car or not, because actually he's not in a state of driving.
Wow.
And he had to go back to his new doctor's appointment. So I knew once he will arrive, he'll be okay because he's basically waiting to see the doctor. And my sister was living there at the time, only for a couple of days because she had stuff going on in her own flat. So I knew at home there will be my sister, there will be doctor's appointments, just about getting him there. I couldn't leave because I just had 3 puppies and my little one, and I had 2 jobs and the whole lot and blah, blah, blah. And my camper wasn't working. And I didn't have any money. But anyways, long story short, I said, come on, let's make a test ride then. And I put him in the car and we drove somewhere. We drove to Fragas to Salsimau. Beautiful place, really, really nice.
Oh, yeah.
At least he saw a little bit. And in the car, when he was just sitting, he was just in his element. He was just cruising along like he always did, just enjoying himself. And that was just beautiful to see. So I was like, okay, then I'll let you drive off, huh?
Yeah.
And he drove off, and I went to my healing circle right away. And I just stood there and I prayed for him to make his way home.
Yeah.
And now that's the bit where you have to be careful what you're manifesting for.
Yeah.
Because he just arrived home, and on his way from his camper to the door of his house, he collapsed and he
No.
died. Yeah.
Oh my word. So he came to say goodbye to you.
Yeah, basically. And in hindsight, we all think that he must have known. And by the parameters he showed me from his medical report, I also thought, all right, the values, the parameters are worse within the treatment at the moment than they were just before they started the treatment. So the doctor must have told him something, or he must have felt it. But we just had this most beautiful, beautiful week where so much, of the things that have been said from me to him and also from him to me, he told me how proud he was that I just, even though we had so much struggle with it, but that he was just so proud that at the end of the day, I did what I wanted to in order to live the life I want to live. And these are things for a daughter, it really means a lot to you. It really did mean a lot to me. To basically have his blessing for my lifestyle as well. Not because I remember when I was a kid, he constantly told me, you got to have this education, you get to do this job, and la la la, so you get good money. And it's always about the money, Jen. You need the money. And I always said to him, look, Dad, I don't want to be rich. If I get enough money and my washing machine is broken, I don't need to have a mortgage for that or debt for that. That's fine for me, And I remember we always had these arguments, and so it was so beautiful for me to see him experiencing me just living in this little place in Portugal in somebody's garden with my camper, have all my 4 dogs. The little kid of my friend was there around that time, and I remember I said to him, "You see that dogs and kids, that's what makes me really happy." And he just smiled and said, "Yeah, I see, and you're so right in doing that." And that was just beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, guys. Yeah. So
Amazing.
this was, and a lot of shit happened afterwards. And, it was just this one of those big letting go lessons.
Yes. Well, I mean, Jenny, this so thank you. I mean, I never know what we're going to talk about. I just trust it's going to be great in some way. And you've done it again. You made me cry again. You are the top scorer of making Carl Munson cry on his own show. So well done on that. And I have to say to you that this is what is so wonderful about what you do and what you stand for, I think, is that we started the story there with you having a big old Barney about vegan sausages on a barbecue. And I can imagine you and him having a full-on exchange, which would sound quite aggressive in German, I suspect. Can you imagine hearing that? Your German neighbours having a ruck about vegan sausages, and then you say that's it. I've tried my best, and in a very human way, very honest, very straightforward, very open, angry. And then on the other part of this, you are a full-on woman. So you full-on said, I tried my best, and then you full-on made peace with this man, with your dad there. And this is what's so wonderful about how I see it anyway, your brand, your blend, your way of being, of being full-on, and not just the angry bit, not just the all loved up bit, but both bits, all of it, holistic. That's why it's holistic healthy, folks, because she does it all. And this is the thing, isn't it? For some people, it's all about the anger and they can't do any love. Some people, it's, for the hippies, it's all about the love but no anger. And then you're robbing yourself of one bit of life's rich experience if that's what you might need to do. So incredible. I will come back to these lovely comments that are coming in after we've caught up with the other hellos. But thank you, Jenny, for sharing that with us this morning. Awesome. Hola, bon dia, alegria from Phil Cooklin. Jim as well from Baltimore in the US. El Ray and Finn, and good morning, everybody. And people saying to each other, which is lovely. We'd love to see that. Bon dia, Stephen Wells. Bon dia. Hey, who's this bloke? Do you recognize him? Bon dia, beautiful people.
Oh, I think I heard about him before. Yeah. I think he's a quite cool guy.
He's the man who was singing on the jingle. And Owen sent me a message. Jenny and I have been working on jingles. I say, yeah, I bet you have.
We did.
Is that what you youngsters call it?
I might be the youngster. That doesn't count for Owen.
Take that. Fantastic. Thank you. I've been reading a book called Culture Shock in Portugal. We must have a look at that one day. There's another subject for another topic one morning. Phil's hot and sunny. Someone's hot and sunny. That's what we like to hear. Morning, Jennifer and Cole. Looking dapper. Well, we'll take that. Both of us. Hey there, Corey. Sharing that with you there, Jenny. Bon dia all from Louise, who we spoke to on the webinar last night, who was talking to us from a lovely part of central Portugal. Absolutely wonderful. Showed us a picture of the Estrela Mountains. Bon dia, alegria a todos from Johnny. Hello. Vegan sausages on a German barbecue. Laugh. Yeah, absolutely. All right, what's this ruckus all about? Did Jen just say vegan sausages? Have no fear, Frank is here. Bon dia, you two beauties. Thanks, Frank, to the rescue. And Joel is here as well. Good morning, Joel. Sending you the biggest hugs. Thank you so much for sharing, says Phil as well. Gary, what is lovely is that you made it right together and he was happy. Absolutely. And that's what I think touched all of our hearts here right this morning. And that's an example to us all as well there, right? To allow, I don't know, it's not just, it didn't seem to be just about these two guys, Jenny and her dad, making good. It's as though Providence, God, whatever you would call it, the universe, life, played a part in that resolution as well, because you summoned it up almost, didn't you? You allowed it to occur in the most beautiful of ways. There's Johnny. My heart goes out to you, Jennifer, from Johnny in Belgium. Lovely closure, says Louise there. Absolutely right, Louise. Sending you blessings from Dominique Core. Good morning, Dominique. I just love you, Jenni B. I could listen to you all day long. And I thought I should say, this is Jenni B, everybody. She would be shizing and whatever else on the morning with her open and fruity language. But that's our Jenny. She is open and authentic. So, if you struggle with that, I don't know, either get used to it or maybe go and read some Patience Strong Bon Mots for the morning instead and come back a bit later. Bless you, Jen, from Frank. Bon dia from a cloudy Scotland, says Fiona Doherty. And Van is loving the show. Good morning, Van. Great to have you back again. How are you doing, mate? Okay, and also this is another surprise for you, Jenny. I think we might all be in tears soon. So I think this is a significant place. Is that right?
Yes, it is. It truly is.
All right. Well, it's not just that picture. We've got a couple of videos to play
for you. Oh, Gary.
on the swing again, folks, and this is what you should see early in the morning when we're not actually going to head in the clouds. And this is, to me, truly beautiful. And I know that this scene will mean a lot to the guests that you have on this morning. So good luck with the programme, guys.
There he is. Gary sent that in
Now,
this morning.
I knew he was up to something, bugger. So we call Gary the wizard now, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
it was so funny. Because when he said just the way he sent me this message, I'd really like you to meet Owen, and and then I was like, And then in hindsight, it's like we both say, you knew what you were doing, Gary. You knew exactly what you were
Very
doing.
good
So from
father.
now on,
Yeah.
we call him Gary the Wizard. Gary the Wizard Austin.
He's got all sorts of nicknames, that man. He's a man for all seasons as well, because in the man cave, he's the man of reason, bringing a little bit of
Oh.
order when tempers get a bit frayed. He's in there with a bit of, bringing us back down to earth with a bit of wisdom. And obviously, he's got this other role in life as well, which is this fairy godfather wizard thing that he's doing, going around the place. He's an incredible man. So lots of love to you, Gary. Thank you for that this morning. And he was on the show a couple of days. Was it? Yeah, Wednesday. He was on helping me out with Ask Anything About Portugal. And he is like a wizard, because he just appears in different places, doesn't he, with his camera? Like this view this morning. I mean, Alvazra does look very magical. And I do like the metaphor that he was going for there, like a rising above the clouds. Is a pretty good spiritual metaphor, isn't it? For, when we're down on the ground, it can seem like our head's in the clouds in not a good way, surrounded by thoughts and preoccupations, worries and anxiety. If you rise up, ascend, meditate, whatever you do to get some clarity, you're above the clouds, aren't you? Looking down on your thoughts, thinking, oh, okay, I see what's happening now.
Yeah,
And there he is this morning, giving us that beautiful visual metaphor, high above the clouds in central Portugal in Alvazra. So that's really wonderful and leads us nicely. Sorry, go on, Jenny.
Oh, no, I just would like to pick up something you said earlier when you said about, I think you were speaking about me, but I thought it's really a metaphor for life as well. These ups and downs, and being the angry, but also being like really, really loving and authentic as much as you can, I guess. But what you said there just brought me back to, I think, one of the biggest challenges in the last weeks, and probably still to come. And that is so surprising, and maybe well, not surprising, but kind of shocking still. Maybe some of you guys can relate to it, but as we all seek love so much in our lives, I really, really, really noticed again for myself, and I asked myself, who would have thought that love, by all of the things you conquer in life, is the hardest one to integrate? Is the one, is really allowing this, not and knowing at the same time, if it's not based from myself, it's not true. So as much as I would think that I potentially love somebody, but it's all in this. I mean, Tanya, who might be in the show next time with us, she wrote such a great book about it. Be Love Beyond Illusion. I can highly recommend it, guys. TC Aila, Be Love Beyond Illusion. So, but these typical 7 love killers she's talking about, and generally we all know that how fine the line is between everything so crazily and beautiful, and then it kind of subtly gets these little mechanics in, and you kind of lose yourself. Which then potentially ends up in, oh my God, I'm so lost. And that's no gain for anyone, is it? So it's interesting to observe my protection strategies, not to let this come too close to me. My kicking boundary strategies, as in, what can I do to confirm myself that it can't be right? You know, just yeah, really, really witchy shit. But in a good way. In a good way, speaking like it's nice again being over the clouds in the sense of observing it and seeing
Mm,
yourself acting around it, and also noticing how much of that again is being a hurt child, or the part of you that's been a hurt child, how much their ego is, and you're just afraid of losing this, how much
yes.
how much it is about being vulnerable. You had it in one of the shows the other day, and you just can't be brave without being vulnerable.
Yes.
And yeah, and then, I mean, it's and I for me personally, it is more about I'm not so much about concerned about losing my face towards other people, but towards
Mm,
myself. That's the
yes.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
Absolutely.
scary bit, you know.
Yeah.
And not that you would expect something really mean to come up or anything. No, just pure beauty, pure power. But that's the
Yeah.
scary bit. It's like, oh my God, like where's it gonna go? And then you go
Yeah.
like, oh, you know, I might just take my tea and have a sip and hide.
Yeah. Goodbye. Yes, well, these are the things we talk about with Jenni B on Feelgood Friday. And today's topic, let me just put this on the screen, staying sane in uncertain times, which I thought would be a very interesting and useful thing to talk about today because, well, in this time of human existence, because I think there's something going on at the moment. And we're sorry, excuse me. He says, because when Jenny gets me crying, it gets all the mucus flowing. But when we're in this situation, whatever, regardless of what our politics are and our sort of mental relationship to the pandemic, and that's clearly dividing people along a whole. That's how the mind works, isn't it? It's polar. And it's up and down, and you can see that all playing out with the pandemic politics and people's fears and people's wish to control other people, etc., etc. All that stuff is coming out. All the inner children are playing together in the pandemic, aren't they? You know, the unhealed inner children are all out to play during the pandemic, and it's a good chance for us to see what's going on. But it's also quite a challenging time, of course, when those things are being enacted in the world upon each other. And it's a very volatile and difficult and uncertain situation. And that's what I was hoping we would talk about today. And that's all of us, not just me and Jenny, but how you are helping yourself to stay as sane as possible in quite an insane time. Let's face it. When you go to the beach and you're showed which way to enter a beach these days, and when the toys in the supermarket are taped up and when the benches are taped up so you can't sit on them, we've reached insanity, folks. And that's just 3 examples, and I'm sure you've got your own. And we also, you know, again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Often people mean well with these rules and things, but actually, when you look at it, you think, hold on, that's just insane. That's straight up insane. Now, what do we do in the face of that? And especially when yesterday it was taped up benches, then the day after it's half a bench is taped up. The day after that, the bench has been taken away. The day after that, the bench you can sit on again, but only for 2 hours if the R number is below 1. And it's like, hold on a minute, I can't compute and cope with all this stuff. What can we do as individuals, Jenny? I know you've thought about this. What do we do as individuals to maintain our own personal peace and strength in the midst of all of that caper and malarkey? And Kentucky, did you call it?
Kentucky 19.
Okay, yes. All right. What do we do?
I mean, it's when we just pick up there. I mean, one thing you might remember, and maybe some of our followers as well. Peace begins with me, so that's
Oh, yes.
always a good start. Huh? And now you just said it again. Or we had this nice little laugh about Kentucky 19. I think humor is a really, really, really important thing not to forget, particularly in these situations. Because,
Yes.
you know, just by, and we both know how powerful language can be. It's such a psychological force as well. And if we, and particularly people who still follow the mainstream media or who generally watch the news and read the newspapers and the whole lot, it's just this bombarding of COVID-19, COVID-19. So there's no space left in your head for anything else, is there? Like, and forget about COVID or Kentucky 19. Forget about it. Think about before that. And I think that's an international. I think that's an international theme that our news. Have you ever heard about good news? No. It's just like catastrophes, drama, scandals, terrorists, whatever, all that whole lot. And then why are we watching this? I mean,
Yeah.
nobody is saying, right, we've rescued another whale there. Right, okay, now actually because of Kentucky 19, so many turtles were able to recover because the people are not on the beaches anymore. Things like
Yeah.
that, Actually, there's been great friendships developed all over the world because finally there was this opportunity there. We would have never met if there wouldn't be Kentucky 19 stuff and a whole lot. So and speaking about the power of words, if you just bring this little humor in and instead of COVID-19, which already goes like "Wah," in all your cells, you just call it
Yeah.
Kentucky 19 or whatever you want to call it, bollocks 19 or I don't know.
Well, there you go. There's strategy number one. I'd never heard of Kentucky 19 until this morning, but it immediately hit a note with me. And yes, you're kind of reframing the thing here and bringing some humor to it. And we should say, this in no way is meant as a slight to anyone suffering, and never is it, because
Not at all.
people suffer all the time, all over the world, and terrible
Yeah.
things happen. And as you know, Jenny is an empathic, heart-led person who would never want anyone to suffer anywhere in the world. I think her work is about stopping suffering, basically, but it is also we recognize a part of human life. There's no getting away from it. What we can change, of course, among the suffering is our adjustment and our attitude towards it, right? And that's what we're talking about this morning.
Yes. So that
Okay.
picks up the next real big one for me as well in uncertain times. I keep on remembering my clients as well that the only real responsibility you have is within this area. This is your area of influence, and everything that happens around you. Of course, it has its impact and a whole lot, but our thoughts have only as much power as we give them. And we just
Yes.
are not our thoughts. That's why I mean, with be careful about your intake. If you watch Carl all day, that might be all right. You might be a bit, a bit mushy in your head after a couple of hours, but still better than the news. So speaking about what's your intake? Do you feed yourself with positive stuff? Do you feed yourself with negative stuff? And that's the beauty of our brain. Even though let's say, you're just a grumpy bastard, that's nothing that is fixed. You can be still a happy person. It's
Yes,
about,
we're talking to you.
yeah.
Whoever
For
fits that
example,
description, talking to you grumpy old giffer. I wonder who's felt personally attacked by that.
yeah, I
But
was
if
just asking me that.
if you felt personally attacked by that, Jenny can give you a little
Hands
bit of
up.
a counter process on the show this morning. Or maybe you're just being authentic, but if, it's an interesting thing with the grumpy thing, isn't it? If you're occasionally grumpy, that's quite interesting, I think. But if you're grumpy all the time, there might be something wrong. So help us at hand on the show this morning. Sorry, Jenny, I interrupted you there.
No, oh, good. But that's a good point you're saying there, because generally I like for people who are not quite happy in terms of, I don't know, I feel there's something going wrong in my life. I just feel it goes into a wrong direction, or I just feel I'm not getting what I intended out of it, or how I pictured life, or whatever. Taking in concern our core beliefs that might, program you with life is a bitch, you need it, it's hard, la la la, the whole lot, you need knocking all the time. But despite that,
Yes.
Luisa, I can imagine who you're talking about. Despite that, where was I? Yeah, it's good if you kind of make yourself a plan in terms of just take a piece of paper and make like a circle on it, and take this as 100%, and then put in the different departments of how much energy actually goes to what during the day. And you might find yourself that 80% of your energy goes down for being grumpy and just moaning all day, which would be the typical German scale of things, I guess. So, it's okay. You don't need to show anyone. It's just for you to find out, where does my energy actually go? because
Yeah.
your energy goes where your attention flows, doesn't it? So, uh,
So this is a response to Mrs. M here,
yeah, all
for
good.
general consumption. But I thank you, Phil, for that. I do appreciate you coming to my rescue there. Us fellas got stuck together. Yeah, no, yes, you're absolutely right. It doesn't have to be shown to everyone, doesn't it? But you'll get to see where your energy flows are, and that's quite a good. Again, that's like going up above the clouds, isn't it? And having a transcendent view of what's going on for you, which could be extremely helpful for you. And I
Because we
also have to
saw,
put. Sorry,
yeah,
go
go
on.
on.
Well, no, I was just thinking about, people watching the mainstream news. It's also true of all you conspiracy theorists. And I say that lovingly to you, because people who spend a lot of time looking at how, the picture behind the picture. And if they spend a lot of time doing that, that also gets to them as well. So, we can, and I've, been there and done that. I feel like I'm somebody who's kind of non-mainstream, sort of anti or scoffing at the mainstream narrative. Oh, look at them, bless them with their illusory view of the world. But if you spend too much time down the rabbit hole as well,
Yes.
I'm joining the dots, I'm doing my research, you can end up a grumpy sod doing that as well. Let's be honest.
So quickly. It happens so quickly. And
Yes.
that's again then how much energy and how much time do you spend with that instead of going out in nature? Just have a look into the sky, see the fireflies at nighttime, tiny things like that.
Oh, yeah.
When are we actually taking a break? We're just not.
Yeah.
Owen is approaching.
Is he? It's Feel Good Friday.
Friday.
For a minute, for heaven's sake. So
What did you say?
I said, leave her alone for a minute. Okay, bon dia, Jenny, Carl, and all. Lovely start to the day. And Owen he might say this himself in just a moment. Look, amazing place, referring to the Alvagra. Is that where the Alvagra swingers meet? Possibly,
Yeah.
I'm sure it is, isn't it? Oh, yes, there you go. We've got that sorted out as well. I don't know when they meet, probably just after dusk up there. Quick flash of the headlights. All is good. Put your keys in the ashtray. My affinity for nature and its elements. Up there is strongly linked with air. We all know the wind changes the weather and steers us in different directions and can move us on. There he goes again with his words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gary. Fantastic 50s. Claire is here. Bon dia to you. And look at this. Oh, I never thought I would find happiness again, says Owen. Is he allowed on the... Oh, get a TP, you two. Good morning. Getting here late again. No worries. With no judging on a Feel Good Friday. Jenny is the most beautiful, authentic person I know. That would be Jenny on the screen there from Owen. Thank you, Owen. Morning, Owen. 2 hours of Carl and Gary giggling at childish wordplay would make the world a better place. It would certainly get the mucus flowing. I know someone... Look, I was going to say, let's get to the bottom of this now. That's why my head's all mushy every morning. 2 hours of Carl Munson. That's a recipe for head mush. Louisa, only if you've been in the studio the night before or moments before the show. With humor, you can handle everything and try and put things into perspective. Some people lose their heads and only think about C19, the measures, and forget to live. And we have a lot of sympathy, empathy, and love for those people who've gone to the dark side like that. It can happen. We're seeing it happen, aren't we? Jenny, you are awesome, with all the letters of awesome in capitals there, and a round of applause as well. Look, I think I'm going to be in trouble after the show. Do you do marriage guidance counselling as well, Jenny? I guess you're in a good place to speak about relationships at the moment. Is that what he said? Whatever your mind dwells on expands. Absolutely. This is what we find, isn't it? Whether it be good news or bad news or no news, because transcending the polarity of the mind obviously is good as well. We might talk about that in a moment. Man code permits me from saying, well said, Phil. Elra, having worked in call centers and a hotel receptionist, there are definitely a lot of people out there who just need to chill. Absolutely. Yes. Well done. Elra, for your public service there. You must meet some grumpy people in that sort of business. Owen, happiness found you. Oh, that works, doesn't it? For sure. Thank you, Stephen, for that. So what else then, Jenny? What else can we do to as the name of the show suggests this morning, staying sane in uncertain times? It's a big challenge right now, isn't it? For sure. But more than ever, I would say.
It is, but on the other hand, I mean, another of these things that could potentially drain a lot of your energy is just sorrow in general. And if you think about now the time before Kentucky 19, you might have been sorrowed as well.
Yes.
Just different things. And now I think what happened with that is that we just share one big sorrow, which kind of gives a connection as well. Because when, let's say, there's a big house with 50 flats and they're all close to the train station, of course they can meet up all day and moan about the sounds of the trains because that's what
Yeah.
they have in common. And now this whole shit, we're all in it together. And of course this is something like, you could meet a stranger, but you could immediately talk about him with Kentucky 19, whatever the measurements, numbers, whatever, blah 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 blah. So that is of course something that's like a connection point, an anchor point. Unfortunately it turned into that. But at the same time, and this probably goes down to vulnerability, we could also meet a stranger and could talk with them about life, death, love, happiness, all these things, because there's also something we have in common, but we just don't share because we're like, okay, that's my wall, that's what I need to go outside, and now I'm pretending to be this, and wait, now I'm going through the train and I'm pretending to be this, and la la. That's draining. It's all draining. So, but at the same time, if you think about, there's tons of things out there in the world you could worry about. I mean, you could go down any rabbit hole. Can it be Kentucky 19? Can it be the hunger in the world? Can it be our shitty food industry and whatever they're doing with us? Could it be the pharmaceuticals? Could it be climate change? Could it be, speaking about Portugal, or the eucalyptus monoculture we have around us, things like that. You can go down this rabbit hole as well. You can start the whole research, you dig deeper, you find more things, and you will be crazily lost in it. So for me, a big thing to take out the fear for everyone, hopefully, is to remind ourselves on the fact that it is just another potential threat out there. It's not the one or whatever. There's tons of things out there that can kill you. But for me, it's the question of, like one of the comments said, will I forget my life? Will I forget living my life and just be on that? And in fear, my immune system won't work properly.
Yeah.
So it's all these things. I mean, if you would write a list of the benefits of being terrified and cautious about Kentucky 19, or putting it in a drawer of all the other flus, all the other potential threats like thunderstorms, whatever.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, if anybody is free to try that right now, if you just do it as a mental experiment, nothing that's nothing done for eternity or forever. Nothing is. Life is a constant change. But if you think about now, if you would have the power of the universe, would you be able to let go of this fear?
Well,
Now,
we do have the power of the universe, and
yes. Yes. Now, next question. Could you be able to let go of this? And if so, when?
Yes.
What is holding you back?
What's stopping you, folks?
What is it? What?
Yeah.
Because if you think about that, actually, the fear that creates yourself, and also, of course, by the media and everything around us, we're all just human. But it's a matter of how much you let it get to you, and not in the sense of shutting off yourself, but in the sense of being confident and faithful. Life happens for us.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, it's good. And giving us another big reason, actually, to live the life we want to live. Because clearly, we never know when it's going to be finished.
Yes.
So
Well,
there's no point of waiting.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I wanted to say, actually, let's just go do a couple of comments. Actually, I don't have time to follow the show. I urgently need to prepare to leave for Portugal. I'm addicted. Okay, Shani, we have to say, Jenny and I are going to give you a pass. You must go and prepare. We don't want you to miss your plane. So you can watch it again on catch up. And I mean, you're going to see us soon, I hope. which will be amazing. So you're excused. You have the highest level pardon this morning. Go do what you've got to do. Don't be late. There are some people who are only happy when they're unhappy because it's their normal setting, and anything else seems unrealistic and unsustainable. That's fair enough, and we need to help those people, don't we? And not judge them for sure if that's what's going on. They are the most difficult, but not impossible. I think Gary has some experience there, possibly. Jenni B, you are so right. It is all good. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, this will sound like a slightly negative note, but if this were truly about what's going on in the world, were truly about public health, you know, you were saying, you know, we can put this next to all the other
There you are.
health conditions. You know, we need to learn to live with it. And there needs to be some sense of proportion here. If it were truly, if society were truly interested in public health, we would also be bringing down these extraordinary powers on something, for example, like young men and suicide and depression. The biggest killer of young men is not COVID, it is themselves. They're killing themselves. And that is the biggest killer in their age group of 19 to 25-year-olds. They're not dying of diseases. They're dying at their own hands because they're unhappy because of the world they live in, presumably. Now, if we're serious about public health and we're serious about well-being, we're serious as a world, as societies, we would be doing lockdown for that, wouldn't we? But we're not. Yeah. Clearly, there's some other thing going on here that's about politics and power. But anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole and that downer, because I think it's really important to. If I can preface this, because I know you'll have something to say about this. I watched the work of an old man called John Butler, who has some lovely YouTube videos, and he is he's just an amazing bloke who suffered in his life. You know, he's lived a life. He's lived a life like many of us have lived here. He's a worldly bloke, but with an otherworldly, supernatural, divine perspective now on life. And I was looking at his website, and what he prescribes and what people seem to love about what he does is there's the invitation of his work. And I want to see how we can make this transferable into this context, Jenni. Is invitation, as with all spiritual work, you're invited to join us in number 1, devotion to God. Number 2, prayer, meditation, and study. And 3, service to others. Now, I recognize, number 1, devotion to God is a difficult word and concept for people. Don't get too hung up on that, folks. Don't get too hung up on your concepts and stuff. When I was in the shower thinking about this morning, instead of singing It's Feelgood Friday, I think I was doing that as well. But I was also thinking about this. Isn't it important to put something that is the most high as you know it as the first thing in your life? And that's what we're talking about here, isn't it? The contrast of thinking about the gloom and doom and the negativity. But what would it be like if whatever you thought God was, or the most high thing in existence for you, if you put that first and the principles around it into practice? That might keep you quite sane, mightn't it?
And you know what? And then from there, finding that this divinity is right inside of you to make this then the highest. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I know what you mean, and it's so often it's really hard for people, and I understand. I've been there as well. That this word God is so, a bit. Yeah, because it's been used by church so often. It's been like institutionalized. So whatever you want to call it, if you want to call it God, if you want to call it the source, if you want to call it light, universe, Allah, Jesus, whatever, you can call it cup of tea if you want. It doesn't matter as long as you know what it's about and what it means for you. It doesn't matter how you call it. So if you feel uncomfortable with God, then it doesn't matter. Call it whatever you want.
If you're feeling uncomfortable, then it would be silly to do it, wouldn't it? What we're talking about here is getting a sense of the thing that is the most high. And feeling it, because actually, again, call it what you will, but the important thing, it seems to me, is to be having a conversation with it. Figure it out. What's the most high thing in your life? Even if it's one of your pets, even if it's your partner, even if it's a tree, or as you say, even if it's a cup of tea, create a relationship with it that puts it first and creates elevation and uplift inside you, an object of your love, if you like. Because we need that, and everyone thrives on that, don't they? To have an object of their love and to put that first. Because if you start moaning about stuff, you're not putting the object of your love first anymore. You're putting something in between you and that thing. So yeah, great. And I understand why people have got a problem with it. The word has been ruined. The God word has been ruined for all sorts of agendas, just like COVID-19 was arguable. But the important thing is what Jenni does, I think, here is cultivating the relationship, the conversation, and the connection between what you value most greatly in life. And then number 2 that John talks about there is prayer, meditation, and study. And again, prayer is another word, isn't it, that's been ruined potentially. Meditation. There's the mindfulness industry now, isn't there? And study. But this is what you do on your workshops. This is what you encourage people to do. Go within, right? Consider it, contemplate it, spend time together. Look at these things.
Yeah. And I mean, silence is one of the big gateways towards yourself. And how can you listen to your inner voice if you're constantly talking or if you're constantly distracted? You can't. You just can't. It can't come through because you're so, like you said, you're so busy to find whatever you think is going to make you happy, to look for whatever you think you can love, and eventually things you could moan about, and a whole lot that we forget the basics, which is actually just take a pause. And I mean, it's, if you think about from where it comes from, I remember when I was at the university, I actually wanted to go into cooperatives to support the people in order to have a better performance, not because I drain them even more, but because I give them value. And I show them that I'm interested in their personality and in the whole lot, that, you know, take everybody's talents and also make sure that it's just about communication, isn't it? And valuing and giving some respect and love and see them people and not just being a bloody number. But at the end of the day, I still had to play with the bosses, and the bosses are not interested in that. They just see figures. So I could have whichever approach I would want to. And maybe by now, where, you know, the whole work-life balance, this word didn't exist when I was at the university. But now, of course, this, you know, gets more and more, and it's all about work-life balance and the whole lot. But at the end of the day, I'm going to quote a friend here of mine who said, should not family be at least the place where we can be ourselves? And if you think about why I connect this to this workspace thing, if you think about that, we spend, in a normal 9-to-5 job, we spend more time at work than we actually spend with our family if you take away the time you're just asleep. So this should also be an environment where you can be just yourself, because what happens so easily is you go there, you put your mask on in order to survive that. But when you go back home, it's not as easy to take that mask off.
No, sometimes you need a gin and tonic to get that mask off.
Oh, easily, maybe 2 sometimes.
This is what happens for people, isn't it? And I want to pick you up on what you said there, where you wanted to work with the people and not the institution. The number 3 of John's invitation is service to others, and that is so important as well at the moment. And I know you do that. I've rumbled you, Jenni B, because this invitation is, I think, is the DNA of your work in this world. Devotion to the Most High, and I have a sense of your spirituality. A prayer, meditation, and study. I know you do that, and you encourage others to do it. And service to others, you do that, don't you? To the children of the future and on the workshops. So I've rumbled you. I know what you're up to there, trying to make the world a better place. What are you like? So we have a few more.
Well, we can only just try.
Yes, well, you are. Yeah, and God loves a trier, as they say. Bon dia, Alegria from Thunderduck. I'm late today. No problem, Thunderduck, because you're weighing in with some awesome comments like diet is powerful medicine, has to be said as well, doesn't it? And that's going back to the vegan sausages. Hola, bon dia. Procrastination is the mother of all standstills. Very good. I've not heard that before. As a professional hypnotherapist, I can honestly say that when I addressed my procrastination problem, it unlocked a massive activity. Get busy. I mean, that's part of service to others as well, isn't it? Get busy. I mean, we know what happens if we spend all day thinking about ourselves and our problems. Understandable as that is, from my experience, that doesn't end well. Base Orbit, bon dia from Colorado, USA. Hey, Base Orbit. Nice early start for you. We're driving in the car. What? And the car... And something is broken. I need a knot of humor at the moment, but I have faith in my man and our sons to make it on time. So they've got parts arriving to get to the ferry. No, you're going to be driving across the continent, aren't you? Wow.
Bless you guys.
Fingers crossed for you guys there. Love and prayers and good thoughts and good vibes to you, the Mondelez household there. Thunderduck, bon dia, Basil, but he is up early for sure. What matters most? 3 powerful words. The Most High. Another way of putting it, right? What matters most to you? Does it really, are the things you moan about really? Well, I guess if you're moaning about them, they have become what matters most to you. Think again, maybe. I do worship a good cup of tea every morning. Me too, actually. The day won't be the same without it. And when I see the blessed apparition of Mrs. M with a cup of tea in her hands, I mean, that is a double whammy of delight and of divine delight for me. I tell you. To me, God equals good, says Thunderduck. Nice one, Thunderduck. I'm sure the root of the words is exactly the same. Gary Austin, we can deliver psychological ivermectin. See what he did there, like that, to those people in our community who need some support, if we care enough to look and listen. And I know you do that, Gary. To be a decent human can be so amazingly simple with a little consideration. Absolutely. And he's doing it. As an introvert, being alone is the only way I manage to recharge. If I don't get that, I will be extremely grumpy and low energy. Knowing yourself and how you work, that's another important thing, isn't it, for staying sane at the moment. Bon dia, no matter what you believe in, pride exists. No matter what you believe in, pride exists, and it's one of the 7 sins of the world. Free yourself from pride. Be open to life and the world around you. Once you do, you'll live much happier. Thank you, Raquel R, for that. Of course, pride always comes before a fall, in my experience. I remember I remember boasting about my driving once and saying what a good driver I was, and I clipped a car as I went around the next corner. Instant karma. Daniel Varrett, some real truth being told here. Thanks, Carl and Jenny. It's a pleasure, Daniel. Lovely to hear from you this morning. Andrew Gilchrist, bon dia, everyone. Another love bunny there, Andrew and Margarita, being reunited in a couple of days' time in Portugal. Good morning from Gairas Obidos. Have a great Friday. Thank you, Jacqueline Branco. Looking forward to meeting you soon. Mr. M, remember, I told you about my previous job in aviation, working with pilots, helping them improve their work-life balance. It really improved their lives and the whole company culture. Yep, obviously doing some good work there, Capricorn 12. Important stuff. And Andrew Gilchrist, all you need is love. John Lennon. And that is true, as you and Margarita are going to find out, I think, in the next couple of days. But as well, you will have to pop out for milk eventually, I think, you two. Stephen Wells, are you counting the hours yet to Andrew Gilchrist? You know he is. You know he is, scratching on the bedpost behind him, counting down the days. Okay, Jenny, we're up to the hour. Maybe some final thoughts, words, practices from you. Staying sane in uncertain times, because I suspect you've got to get back to Owen, haven't you? She's frozen up now. Can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Carl?
Yeah, we've got you again.
Okay, but I heard you. Huh? I heard your little side comment there, and yes, I do.
Oh, okay, good.
Maybe, to finish off, I'd like to share another story of my dad, maybe from the last year.
Absolutely wonderful.
So he went and decided he's going to get the chemotherapy at first, and then of course I wasn't really too happy with that. People who know me as a reformed pharmacist, that's not I know the shit and I wouldn't take it, and of course I wouldn't want my beloved ones to take it. So we had these discussions, and I made him like a whole therapy plan, what he could do, mainly CBD plus nutrition as well. That I came back to, because diet was been said there as well.
Wow.
And first he was like, yeah, and then he spoke to his oncologist and asked her about the CBD, and her response was that she would need the certain product. That told me right away she's got no clue what she's talking about. But for my dad, it was enough that one white coat said, nah. You're not having too much pain, so it won't be nothing for you, la la la. So he went again with the normal approach, the conventional approach of therapy, and went for lots of steroids, chemotherapy, the whole lot. And when he was there at my place then, and he was suffering a lot, you could just tell that his body is shutting down. Mm-hmm. But I remember then he was really having breathing difficulties. So I sat him down. I was like change the posture to this. Then you get some eucalyptus oil, breathe that, open your chest, the whole lot. And then I remember he sat there and you could tell he was on his edge. But I remember how he sat there, and during this, within this period of the vegan sausages and him having his pork, and the suggestion that eventually diet could be a bit could have big impact on your health as well, particularly in these times. He started to eat less and less of red meat, and he was only on fish and chicken when he came and visited me actually. So that was already one thing that he noticed for himself that does him well. And when we did the breathing and a couple of more things, I just tried to give him a bit of relief of the shitty situation he was in. I remember very powerful thing he said to me, that he said, "So how come nobody else is telling me this?"
Yes.
And I said, "Well, Dad, you can't even be mad with them because they're not trained for that. They just don't know.
Yeah.
They do believe whatever they do is the best and is the only way." And why I'm trying this, why I'm saying this is, and I've just said it to my mom when she told me that she's going to have the jab. And I just reminded her on that story because, of course, it's up to her. It's her life, it's her body. Whatever she thinks it's necessary to do, she is free to do. But it's painful for me because I have an idea where it's leading to, and seeing this of my dad, admitting that it might have been giving him a bit more life and particular life quality time if he would have listened, not particularly to me as a daughter, but maybe just to something different than the mainstream.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd like to share with you to finish off, just to make you guys think that at the end of the day, take a moment, go into silence, go outside in nature and check within, what is it that you truly want? Like the comment was saying there, like what's the most important for you? What are you most grateful for? These things, and then focus on that. Focus on the things that makes you more happy, and
Beautiful.
therefore you can create a better life. And with other people and the serving. For me, the life motto in that regard is, I mean, just treat people like you want to be treated. Easy as that.
Yes, the golden rule. Yeah, do as you would be done by. Absolutely. It comes back to the basics, doesn't it? In all the holy books, in all the holy books, it's there, everybody. So yeah, go to your holy books, reflect, go within. As you know, there's nothing new about this, is there? What's new about it is that you might have been reminded today. There's the news, right? That you might have forgotten.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is something Jenny's here to remind us about today, about how to stay sane in these very uncertain times. I think go to what matters most, as you reiterated there. Be reflective, be meditative, and serve others, as Gary's been saying, as I know you do. That's a really important part of this as well, isn't it? The community side of it. Be support people as well. And I think we've come up with a pretty good prescription, and it is only a prescription. And as she knows, as the reformed pharmacist, the prescription only works if you take the tablets, if I may use that metaphor, right? So she can do bad cop as well. Go and look within now.
Yeah. And it's just like you say with the holy books. Yeah, take a book if you want, but at the end of the day, you got the book all inside of you, and it's there. Whenever you need to know anything, it's there. It's about being trustful in it, and maybe somebody can benefit from my mantra, which I have when shit really hits the fan and I'm not feeling good. And I'm a lot stuck in my head. I just go with, I believe, I trust, I let go. And I say this with every single step I'm walking. I believe, I trust, I let go. And it's really getting this into your head. It is a bit like a meditation at the same time, but it's feeding your brain. Don't go into those mindfuck games. Your ego is trying to play with you. And really believe, trust, let go. Believe, trust, let go. That's all it takes.
How lovely. Okay, final few comments then before we play the tune at the end, and we're gonna right. So stop what you're doing if you can. Obviously, if you're flying a jumbo jet, do not stop what you're doing. If you're driving a heavy goods vehicle, don't stop what you're doing. But if you can, do stop and join us for a moment of togetherness at the end of the show here.
Yes.
After I've read these few comments, and there's some good ones and some important people here who've just checked in, tuned in. All you need is love, says Andrew. We've done that, but that's worth saying again. And Owen is saying, a birthday on Sunday. Looking forward to seeing friends and being with Jenny, says Owen. Have a beautiful day at the weekend, Owen. Had my PCR this morning packed, docs together, 46 hours to go. He's definitely counting down. No milk, Portuguese style coffee only. Okay, so that gives you a few more hours. As my dad used to say, I suspect what might be going on there is too much bed and not enough sleep. Jenny, hooray, your good vibes help the parts just arrive. Obrigado. We're glad to be of service. The parts have arrived. They're going to be on the road soon. Isn't that great? Thunder Duck, I'm allergic to dairy and consider that a blessing. Yes, we're talking about diet this morning. It may well be, Thunder Duck. Can hardly wait, says Andrew. Amazing. And Will Thompson. Big love to you, Thompson. Bon dia, joke for the day. Looking forward to when pub quizzes finally come back. Round 1 will forevermore be titled, okay, everybody, welcome back to the pub quiz. Round 1, epidemiology. Because we all know a lot about that now, don't we? Will, little note to you, soldier. Have a rest for a bit, okay? You must feel the love coming from this community for you. And there are certain things you can only do for yourself, my brother. A borderline son, and take this as a fatherly intervention, or an uncle at least. Have a rest, okay? By order of the management here, you've worked hard, you've done brilliantly, we love you, but you must rest, okay? So have a few days off, maybe do a bit of what Jenny's talking about there, go within. And I know you think we're a bunch of hippies sometimes, but you've got to get the balance right, Will. And I'm sure Gary will back me up on that. Uncle Gary and Uncle Carl and Auntie Jenny are telling you to have a bit of a break, Will. So I hope you take that to heart, because you deserve a break as well. Absolutely. Be good to yourself and each other. Life is too short for drama. Be happy. The time is now. Well said, Raquel R. And Will Thompson. Finally, I'm in a safe space at rest, listening to Jenny. Yes, Will Thompson. Glad to hear it. Thank goodness for that.
Well, I hope I see you Sunday.
Yes, indeed. Well, you take it easy, mate. And everybody, have a beautiful day. I hope this has been I'm sure it's been of some help to you. Jenny, it's been wonderful having you here. Never know quite how it's going to happen, but I always know there's going to be something touching my heart, something that's going to make me cry, probably. But now the time has come to kick off your shoes and sway with the jingle. Okay, so let's stop what you're doing, but folks, and really tune into this, because I love this. Owen, thank you so much for this. Here we go.
Thank you, Owen.
It's Feelgood Friday. It's Friday. Feeling good on a Friday with Cal Munson and Jenni B.
Sing along. Whoa!
Good Friday.
All right, here's the ad. Catch Mrs. M and Jenny at this place. Ciao, ciao. Have a great week.
Let me tell you about the Higher Self Expo July 2021. It's a 24-hour event with 33 guest speakers who are sharing their wisdom and exploring the connection between science and spirituality. Today's guest is a guest speaker at this event. To register your place and find out more, go to www.higherselfexpo.com.